Hi guys. So I wanted to just do a video again where I've gone back over some of these unsealed filings with fresh eyes. And we've had this letter as well from Michael Gottlieb filed. And I just really wanted to do a rather short video just to go back and say, hold on a minute. I didn't notice that the first time. Let's look at it now. I've had a few people ask me about this case as well. The Miller case that Michael Gottlieb wrote to Judge Lyman about and said, Judge, this is here. This decision is here now. You need to look at this. I was live with Cassidy the other day. She very graciously invited me up, which was always lovely to talk to her, and she asked me about this. So, just for the purposes of just to kind of confirm my thoughts on this, I think it's a nothing burger. This doesn't actually do anything. The only reason this decision is even here is because in this case, the judge made a point of saying, I'm not going to consider that. And it was because he didn't consider it. So as long as Lyman can, maybe just puts in doesn't say expressly state, oh, I'm not going to consider something, or he puts in a line to say, I have considered it, but blah, 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 blah. The thing is, it doesn't matter what the evidence is, basically, if the case doesn't pass the legal standard. If the law is not on the side of Blake Lively's case, the evidence makes no difference whatsoever. And that's the crux of all of this. I think this is a sign that they're stressed, very stressed, and they're very worried, and they should be. But this is not going to do anything. In fact, I think it may even have been like a red herring for the newspapers to pick up and go, oh my God, look, this case is going to say Blake Lively's case, blah, blah, blah. It's not. It's not. It has absolutely no bearing on how Judge Lyman rules on either the motion for judgment on the pleadings or the motion for summary judgment. He will make that decision however he sees fit. He just has to make a point of not saying that he has not considered something. Or, as I suspect he probably will do now, he might just stick a line to say, right, I considered it. And that's all that's needed. It's literally, that's all it's needed. But this case is not going to make Judge Lyman find, in Blake Lively's favor and save her claims if they, do not meet the legal standard. So that's that covered. I also wanted, while I was on the stream as well, I also pointed out something as well to Cassidy. In fairness, House of Chatter found this. She may not be the person who found it. I don't know who found it. I always give someone credit because I have seen it from them, and then someone will say to me, "Oh no, it was on Reddit, or it was someone else found it." I will credit the person who I learn of this information from, and if they've learned of it from somewhere else, then fine. But so I saw House of Chatter's video, which I will put a link to actually in the description. Blake Lively filled in this form for, is her name Jennifer Benson? I want to say it is. It's the holistic wellness expert that Justin Baldoni referred Blake to help her because she was having so many antibiotics, and just to help her kind of recover and make sure she's getting sort of safe treatments, given that she was breastfeeding at the time, and so on and so forth. And we all kind of picked up on this, right? No, I can't highlight that. But at the top there, would you like your weight to be different? Blake says yes. So she was kind of interested in weight loss herself. But what not many people did pick up on, which House of Chat did, is if you look at the top now where it says occupation, she has listed herself as self. So she is basically declaring herself self-employed, and this may be a problem. If Wayfarer point this out at any point and sort of say, well, hold on a minute, how are you saying you're an employee? Look, you determine yourself to be self-employed. She doesn't say actress. She doesn't say employee. She says self-employed. I also found it interesting, the next line down. Given that in her PGA letter, she was like, oh my God, I worked all these hours. I only had 2 hours sleep, blah, 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 blah. But yet she lists her hours of work per week as less than 36. That's a minus 36. Most people work in a full-time job work between, around 36, over 36 hours, 36 to 40, sometimes, more than 40 hours a week. She doesn't say how much less than 36 in fairness, but it's, still less than 36. So, well, how that doesn't seem to stack up, because she was telling us, and she told the PGA, that she was working, 22 hours a day. Never mind a week. What is going on here? Okay. But I'm here for Colleen Hoover, because I've been on a bit of a Colleen Hoover tangent, and there's stuff that's going on that's just really annoying me. There's stuff in the deposition, so we'll start with her deposition. Yeah, we'll start with her deposition, actually. And we're having to go quite a long way into this as well. Like, it's a 74-page deposition excerpt. But we are page 71 into that. So, Zeldin is asking questions about the premiere and about why Colleen Hoover does not like Justin Baldoni. So, and she asks, and you never appeared in pictures at the premiere with Justin, is that correct? And she says, no, I was ushered down a line and took to my seat. I was only in pictures with whoever was in the tent as we were walking through. So Colleen Hoover was basically ushered, here, displayed, and then ushered out the way to her seat. And then she continues, that wasn't a photo shoot, experience as far as I know. And then she's asked, if Justin had asked you to be in a photograph with him, would you have done so? There's an objection. Hoover, probably not that night, no. Why not? I was upset with him for things I had heard. Things you had heard from, and then we hear, being told by Blake. So Colleen Hoover says things that she had been told by Blake. What's Blake been telling her? I see. And things you had been told by Blake are the same things we had been talking about before. So that would be the Blake's version of, I was sexually harassed in 5 different ways in the trailer by Jamie Heath. Sometimes I was standing up, sometimes I was sitting down, sometimes I was wearing a thong, sometimes I was, wearing a robe or covered from the armpits down. Sometimes he looked at me directly, and then there was other times when he looked in the mirror. We told him to come in, but we told him not to come in. It was that kind of scenario. I don't know what version Colleen Hoover got, but we've had them all. Okay, what other stuff? She told me, Blake Lively told Colleen Hoover that Justin, well, the religion thing for one, that Justin told everyone on set that we met through his faith. She told me that he would use my name and tell everyone that we were basically best friends. And so when he wasn't getting his way in a scene, that he would say, well, the author wants it this way. Now, let's start with the religion, right? We know how much of a cult Blake Lively believed that Justin Baldoni was in. And she referred to it to everyone. She referred to it to the WME reps, to the Sony reps, in the messages to Matt and Lucy Damon, even to Ben Affleck. So, yeah, there was a lot of talking about every time she talked to someone, and Taylor Swift, obviously, every time she talked to someone, if we've got the messages, it mentions him being in a cult, right? There seemed to be a real bug up her ass about that for some reason. I don't know why, but she did not like it. And I don't know why Justin would say, I cannot come up with a reason to benefit Justin where he would say that Colleen Hoover was a member of the Baha'i faith. Knowing that, there were people who were going to access Colleen Hoover who could have asked her about it or tried to pray with her and been confused by, like her lack of participation. It seems like a stupid thing to do. But also, all Colleen Hoover had to do was just say, "Oh no, I don't follow that faith." Like, why she's so upset about it, I don't know. It was just ridiculous. Now, let's talk about the second part of that. Then, he would use my name and tell everyone that we were basically best friends. And when he wasn't getting his way in a scene, he would say, "Well, the author wants it that way." Right now, remember, Colleen Hoover did actually nitpick on things, and get upset about things like the heart. The design of the heart when it didn't have that little gap. She was like, "But yeah, I want it to have the gap." So there were things actually she did try to impress upon Wayfarer and Justin Baldoni. But also, really, if we're gonna kind of go, okay, well, the if we're gonna get upset because someone's saying, "Hey, the author wants it," then why doesn't this bother her? Because this is the Josh Greenstein and Blake Lively text. This is where they're talking about the competing cuts, and this is the point where Blake Lively literally leverages Colleen Hoover and says, "Well, I don't care if his cut is doing better. I want my cut. We're going full steam ahead. By the way, Colleen also feels the same. The author wants it." She's literally, I mean, this is just one text I've pulled. I could probably pull, half a dozen other text messages where either Blake Lively or Sonia are talking about what the author wants. So how Colleen Hoover is sort of sitting there with a straight face saying, "Well, yeah, I was upset with Justin Baldoni because he was telling everyone that, if he didn't get his own way, that he was kind of using my name and saying, well, it's what the author wants." Well, that's exactly what Blake Lively did. But for some reason, that seems to be okay. Let's continue with this. I can't recall other things. I don't know. I see. So were these things you would characterize these things as gossip, as an objection from Ezra Hudson? Of course there is. And then she says, maybe. So, and then Colleen Hoover says, "I just take it as things she had experienced and told me. Like, I didn't know if they were accurate or not." So that's Colleen Hoover admitting, because she never saw any sexual harassment like Alex Sachs. Alex Sachs actually concedes she never actually witnessed any sexual harassment, which is bizarre because she should have been on the set at the time these things were happening, but she didn't actually see them. But they took Blake Lively's word for it as gospel. And Colleen Hoover has done exactly the same. She hasn't actually seen anything. She's been told it. These things happen by Blake Lively. And then that's it. Instead of having a conversation and getting the other side of the story, because there's always another side to the story, she's just gone, right, fuck you to Justin Baldoni. A man that she's known for, a number of years by this point. And then this question here is just an absolutely brilliant question to kind of follow up those questions with. Once you've got Colleen Hoover answering questions and saying, well, I weren't happy with Justin because of the things Blake told me about him. And, I didn't know if sexual harassment had actually happened. I was just told about it and I believed her. The next question you want to be asking, which is just absolutely brilliant, which is what Zeldin does here, is, did you do anything to verify that Justin had in fact said he met you through the church, right? So it's like, Blake Lively has told you that, that you two met through the Baha'i faith. Did you actually go and ask him about that? Did you actually ask if he said that? Colleen Hoover, no. Why? Why would you not? It's such an easy thing to do. Why would you just not go and ask him? No, because at the time I was already not speaking to him because of things that happened between he and I that had nothing to do with Blake. And I'm pretty sure that was over the book thing. I know there was a bit of a set to over the heart design, but there was something over the book table thing. Which again, that got pulled because of Blake. But we won't go down that route again. Did it upset you that she was gossiping? Now it annoys me because it cuts off, and because Colleen Hoover's like, well, I mean, there were a lot of times that I prepared. I mean, all the time that and I want to know what she said. Did she actually go as far as to say, well, yeah, actually, I didn't like that she gossiped because she seemed to have again another big bee in her bonnet about Justin and Jamie sitting down and talking to her at dinner about their experience of Blake. And I've never quite understood why someone if you don't like someone almost tattletaling on someone else, then why are you prepared to listen to the other person also do the same thing and be okay with it? If you don't like someone leveraging your name to get their way, and again, there's no evidence of that. This is stuff that she's been told by Blake, who we know is full of shit. But also, there's clear evidence that Blake's done that with Sony and with WME. They have said, "Oh no, Colleen Hoover wants it." Why are you not upset with Blake for doing the same thing? It's a mystery, this case. It really is. Okay, and then on top of that, she did an interview just only a few days ago with Variety. And I was just, well, this really sent me. Where is it? Because she's talking about, oh, here it is. Yeah. Do you want to see the It Starts With Us sequel novel? Sorry, It Ends With Us sequel novel. It Starts With Us on the big screen. And then Hoover's response is, I wrote that book as a thank you to readers. I don't know that there's enough story to make a film. It Ends With Us was so impactful and was so well wrapped up in the first film. Of course, if they all come together and wanted to do it, I'm not going to talk anyone out of it. But when I wrote that one, it was never an intention to see it on film. I just wanted to see Atlas and Lily happy. And I find that absolutely insane because they were clearly planning to make a second film. Why would she sell the rights to to adapt the movie? Because that's what Justin holds. He doesn't hold the intellectual property for the actual books themselves, right? Colleen Hoover still owns them. She always has. He has bought the rights to adapt the books into a movie in any way he sees fit. And he bought both It Ends With Us and It Starts With Us. So if you did not intend for It Starts With Us to become a film, why did you sell the book rights to it? Why did you sell the movie adaptation rights to it? That does not make sense to me. But also, in this same interview, we're just going to go back up to the very first question she is asked, yeah? Which she contradicts herself in the same bloody interview. You can't make it up. Did you always envision your books cinematically? Could any of your novels be adapted, or do some work better for the big screen than others? Her response, when I write, I always see my books as a movie. I love film, so I write in a way that it translates well. So she's literally saying, I always write my books with the intention that they could become a movie. But then later on, she's when it comes to It Starts With, she's specifically saying, well, I don't know if that could become a movie. It was just a thank you. But she sold the rights for it to be adapted to a movie. It's just absolutely nuts. It's nuts. So yeah, that's kind of where we are now. And as if we couldn't forget, she's actually talked about, It Starts With Us becoming a movie in her messages with Blake Lively and Taryn Fisher. And they're mocking Justin's proposal video to his wife, Emily. And this video is going to be mine and Blake's inspiration for It Starts With Us. So she's literally got it in her head that her and Blake Lively are going to be at the helm for the It Starts With Us movie. And they're going to basically mock Justin's video proposing to his wife and use it as inspiration to do what? A nice pool on it? Is that what we're going for here? So I'm on I'm really on a downer with Colleen Hoover at the moment. I'm really on a downer with Colleen Hoover at the moment. You know, Colleen Hoover sitting there going, I had nothing to do with it. I just want to sit out of it. It's giving me PTSD. Girl, you were involved and you were in the throes of all of this and you are responsible and you were a liar. And that's me. That's this video now done. I have had an update actually on the New York Times case against Wayfarer. I say an update. New York Times have replied to Wayfarer's opposition. You remember that opposition where they signaled that they intended to appeal? New York Times have filed their reply brief. It's quite short, but I am going to do it in a separate video. So I will release that one later today. Thanks for listening, guys. As always, please do like and subscribe. And, if you've got hypes available, please hype the video. It really helps. Thank you.